Same stuff, different team. That's what we get almost every year. I sympathize somewhat with the Milwaukee Bucks franchise because you guys had nearly a century of attained mediocrity, not having really any championship relevance since the 1970s when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar won you guys back in won you guys a title since what 1970, the 1970s before he went over to the Showtime Lakers. Already a league MVP, highest score around the stint of the Showtime era. So it's kind of been years of having draft hype, minimal free agent depth, and literally their best player in franchise history beforehand was Ray Allen before it was Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis has major power in the front office. I feel like it's a control freak era involving Giannis Antetokounmpo. Why Adrian Griffin was fired when it came to him losing the locker room allegedly around the in-season tournament and having possibly one of the worst defensive ratings for an upgrade over the offensive splits of the team. If you've seen since trading away Drew Holiday to get Damian Lillard for more of a boost over the offensive side of the ball, they've been staggering around second best in the Eastern Conference. And that's been the question, if they can even still compensate, because they're still second best, and they needed a head coach after Adrian Griffin got fired unexpectedly. Now people question it was Giannis's influence due to possibly having his brother be questionable of wasting roster spots so they can get a legitimate NBA player to actually play some minutes to improve the depth around the squad, because let's get it straight, Thanasis Antetokounmpo is not really a well accustomed player either than his notoriety being the brother of Giannis, and I guess questions around previous relations on John Hurst. John Hurst firing and another assistant coach. Joe Puntley had to take over until they found the right guy. And right now it's Doc Rivers off his first coaching job here, where he lost to the Portland Trailblazers by 6. Not really the best look. Not gonna lie. Now, Doc Rivers has an accustomed relation when it comes to coaching contending teams with a full-out veteranship roster. So having already a coach that's already experienced, that have playoff history, that only won one Coach of the Year and one NBA title 16 years ago, has had a minimal playoff success, especially around only making one conference final since 2020. It's already put in question what's even the confidence heading over, having already your third head coach in just the span of 2 months, and firing your rookie coach that had probably the hottest start over to the season be fired already off lost chemistry. So, knowing the current track record of Doc Rivers and him notable for choking 3-1 leads, plus a minimally aging rotation roster out of now sacrificing Damian Lillard. They're going to be starting Malik Beasley. That's at least the second youngest guy on the squad that gets minutes. Jay Crowder, Chris Middleton, that's possibly around 31 years old. Pat Connaughton, he's old. So is Cameron Payne, he's been in the NBA for a long time. Giannis is edging around 30 years old now. Bobby Portis. And Brook Lopez, that's the oldest player. He is one of the best centers in the league, but he's a bit old now. He can't etch and help defense unless rim protection is a thing, perimeter defense, to etch out and swap out their man. That's why they lost to the Portland Trailblazers. It's tough to say so, but this Bucks team is good. But even when they win, it's never in convincing rates. They'll put up already 2 close games against the Detroit Pistons over a back-to-back series, and then they can barely etch out and keep a definitive time to play transition defense because their help is very limited over that Bobby Portis edging out over the defense. The young players that sometimes show up is AJ Green and Rajan Beauchamp. Andre Johnson, the 6'6" forward that was signed over from UConn as well. They have some young definitive stars, but don't have definitive positions. Trade deadlines etching around this nearly 2 months into this season. There could still be some, let's say, ambitious things to do to still make an impactful roster. Maybe get a more of a defensive signed wing. Mikal Bridges could be available. We understand Brooklyn could be in the chopping block to at least trade for draft capital. Possibly get more of experienced talent. So sacrifice some of their up-and-coming rotation players. Mikal Bridges is around 27. Zach LaVine could also be a major trade target for Milwaukee Bucks. But nobody wants to take over that that dead cap. To be a minimally good offensive unit still, and we know Zach LaVine isn't really that much of a defensive help in majority of his career. But Mikal Bridges could be out there. That was one of my favorite signings. It could be Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, even though his results of being an All-NBA player over the past 3 seasons has been stuck due to scrutiny, question mark after question mark, injuries. He's better. He is 6'10", that can facilitate, move the ball past, and he can be there over on help defense. That's his best upside, to be a up-around defensive unit that can do a lot over to kick out the ball. Thanks, there's a bunch of great catch-and shooters out of the Milwaukee Bucks, out of players like Brook Lopez, Chris Middleton, that can shot create but can catch and shoot. Damian Lillard as well. And then you got more of the added size over on the rotation, and Ben Simmons still got a lot more basketball to play, so you get more energy out of him with the second unit. So I feel like the Bucks should really focus on that. I know we could possibly put it over to Doc Rivers, not the freaking choke, but we also got to put it over to the roster that dealt. Don't forget, the coach can only instruct these players. Don't get me wrong. I was even there for Doc Rivers after he catched over the scrutiny after the Sixers shit the bed after allowing a 50-point performance out of Jason Tatum in a Game 7 with rotation changes. Underperformances of James Harden. Just a lack of rotational awareness over by Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers have some blame and responsibility, but also goes to the players as well to fix this. And I feel like Milwaukee needs to get over on the trade block pronto if they want to still keep the confidence around the league. Thanks, now they got a boomer bust side going on with Damian Lillard and an experienced roster on a small market. There's not a lot to work with, so knowing the young players that are on right now that have playoff experience, I would try to negotiate over a 3-way trade with the Brooklyn Nets. So it's going to be a bit questionable who would come in as a third-party contributor, because I would love to see possibly Mikal Bridges or Lauri Markkanen. That's playing tremendous. He was in the chopping block to make an All-Star season, but Anthony Davis took over the spot over in the front court, having another good, decent year and a healthy year at that, other than not playing against the Boston Celtics the previous night on Thursday. So tell me how you guys feel down below. You think Doc Rivers is a ticking time bomb fit to happen? I just explained there could be fixable ways to gain the confidence still with the NBA media if we still think being second seed isn't that convincing. And I feel like the way the Bucks play, they're not convincing as a contender, in my opinion, other than on paper. That's it for me. Like, comment, subscribe for more. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I'm going to make a sandwich.